What's up, Internet? My name is Michael Cook, this is Blue Giant Media, and we're here to connect through gaming. Today we're going to be doing a Kickstarter preview of Zorro the Dice Game by Pull the Pin Games. We're going to go ahead and take a quick rules overview, and then we'll come back and I'll let you know what I like, what I don't like, and who I think may or may not like Zorro the Dice Game. Here I have Zorro the Dice Game set up for 2 players. What a player is going to do on their turn is 3 things in order. They're going to choose a location to go to. If you have 4 or more players, another player can choose to join you there. Then what you're going to do is at that location, you'll get 3 rolls of the dice. And you're going to do this Yahtzee style. You can save dice, and you're trying to match them to the symbols on the heroic feat now location that you are at. Then I'm going to go ahead and take a second roll. I got one of those, and my third roll, I did not, but let's just go ahead and say that I did get it. Now, if I do succeed, now first of all, I guess, if you don't succeed, nothing bad happens other than the fact that you don't get the bonus. You're not gonna like take damage or whatever. But if you do succeed in that, you're going to get to collect that location, and you're gonna get to collect that equipment. This equipment makes it so for each of the following places that I visit, I have a built-in taunt symbol. So if I were to go here, all I would really need to get is 2 leaps and 1 taunt, because I already have 1. Now, if I happened to get a second of the same color location, that's going to let me take that color hero die, but that's also going to bring out the scoundrel. And then the scoundrel is going to attack both the person who claimed that hero die and all other players in turn order. So what will happen then, let's just go ahead and say that I had done this and this player had done that at some point. Whenever you finish one of these things, you will put a new equipment and heroic feat out to cover it. So let's say we fast forwarded, and this is where we are. This player just collected their second yellow, which brings out the scoundrel. The scoundrels have some special rules. Like this one says that you cannot use your common equipment, which are these ones right here that I just collected, which means I don't get to use these 2 taunts, which is fine because I don't need any taunts for this one anyway. But I'm going to go ahead and fight this scoundrel. Now the hero dice are going to have a higher likelihood to roll that colored symbol. So I got 1 off that, I got a thrust off of that. So that's 1 roll. Second roll is terrible. And my third roll is not good enough. So again, nothing bad happens other than I don't get to do anything good. Then it's going to go around the table. Even if I defeated that scoundrel, they're still going to go around the table trying to pick on whoever they might be able to succeed against. Then this player is going to get, well, I kind of want to keep that because it's going to be giving you a better likelihood for a yellow. Oh, I don't know why I'm doing that. The player shouldn't even have had the yellow to begin with. Only the player who has the 2 of these is going to get that hero die. This player does not yet have any hero dice. So, 1 yellow. 1 thrust. And let's go ahead and, like we did before, let's go ahead and say we finished that. Yay, hooray, we did it! All players who defeated a scoundrel are going to go ahead and take a premium equipment. And this one, as you can see, says that you get to take an extra roll. So you have 4 rolls at your disposal. So these are all really powerful. This says you can borrow 1 hero die from anywhere. This one says that you get to ignore the scoundrel and villain special abilities. So I would have been able to use that common equipment. This one, holy cow, it just gives you 1 of everything, just about. This one, up to 2 of the the taunt results that you roll are considered wild. This is the same thing for thrusts. Before you roll, you can set a die to any value that you want. So those are really powerful. Then play will continue after you've defeated that scoundrel until eventually a player is going to collect their 3rd, or I guess not necessarily 3rd, but if once the other hero die comes into play, it may end up being the same person, it may not. Then this is going to come into play, and it says that you cannot use your premium equipment, is what this one says. Then this player is going to go ahead and roll to try and defeat them. And I just about did that all on the first go. Second go is no go, and there we go. So I would stay standing. Then it's going to go over to my opponent. Again, it's going to go around the table, and I don't get to use my extra roll. So I'm going to use a Z from there. No yellows. I got to get 4 more yellows. 1. Got to get 3. No good. Okay, so then what this player would do is lay their person down. After the villain has gone around the table to challenge everybody, if there is only one player standing, that player wins. If there are multiple players standing, then those players are going to go into a duel where this player would start by rolling their dice, and they get to do a normal turn. And at the end of that normal turn, they're going to go ahead and count up how many of these thrust results they got. So this player got 3. Then it's going to go over here. This player is going to roll. They get 1 extra roll. So now we get to use our abilities again, though. So there's 2, 3. So far we've tied. And we tied. So then it would go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until someone has gotten the most. If all players are laying down, then all players are going to get to do that duel. And whoever is the winner of either being the only person standing or the winner of the duel at the end of the game is going to be able to claim the rights to be the next Zorro. Now that you have a pretty good idea of how to play through Zorro the Dice game, I want to let you know what I like about the game. First of all, I really enjoy the premium equipment. The game-breaking aspect of it is really fun. So getting one of those is just, it's really exciting when you're just like, whoa, I can do what now? Nice. It's a really good feeling. I enjoy that. I like the theme. I really enjoyed watching Zorro as a kid, so I really, I appreciate that throwback, that nostalgia aspect. So I think that's really cool. Things that I don't like about the game, though. First off, I don't like the packaging. I understand that it's a relatively new company, but that says nothing about Zorro the Dice game. And I've seen other games by this company, they do the same type of thing. It's kind of, I think they're trying to make that their shtick, as well as trying to keep costs down by keeping a consistent packaging, and then just all they do is print the sleeve. So I guess it remains to be seen what it's going to be priced at. Maybe it's going to make it worthwhile to have it packaged as cheaply, but I don't like sleeves. This thing's, it's not going to last, and once the sleeve is gone, this does not say Zorro. That does, but this doesn't, and that bothers me. The size of the dice is small. That could very well be something that's going to be a stretch goal, though. The pawns, again, I'm sure this is Kickstarter. Stretch goals, I'm sure, include having more interesting figurines or something like that. If it stays as it is, it's weird because I don't think of myself as a sucker for theme and immersion, but for some reason I find myself going like, why isn't this like a horse, or why isn't this a guy with a sword? It's interesting. I want more interesting pawns. I think that there will be a wider range, again, stretch goals, of equipment and premium equipment. I also want more variety as far as the scoundrels and villains. I want more options there, especially because while there's variety in the equipment, that's great. It's already at a place where you're not going to go through the whole deck every game anyway, whereas I'm seeing the exact same scoundrels and villains every game. They never change at all. So being able to kind of cycle those through and have some different ones would be very much appreciated and very much needed, and I hope it's part of the stretch goals. So if it is, then remove that complaint. I'm not big on a lot of dice games because dice hate me. You probably saw in my in my little overview, there's several times where I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna stop trying this because it could take forever. Dice hate me, and getting it through that first heroic feat, sometimes it just you can't get off of that, which means you can't get the equipment that you need. Once you get an equipment or two, that can really speed things up. That can really help you out. And once you can get one of the premium equipments, then you're in business. But until then, it just feels like you're too much at the mercy of luck of the die rolls. And that's not my type of game. I tend to prefer games where you get to roll and then decide what you're going to do with the decisions. The dice determine what decisions are at your disposal rather than the dice determine whether your decision paid off. I like having the decision made after the randomness rather than before the randomness. That said, I like that even if you are not the person to have, gathered those hero dice, you still have a shot at the scoundrel, which means you can still get that premium equipment. Although you're even more at the mercy of the dice then. And I also like that even if you're getting hosed, by the end of the game when the villain comes around, you still have a shot at that villain. You're not out. So I do appreciate the fact that you are never out of the game, but at the same time, the dice often make me feel like I'm always out of the game, even when I'm in the lead, because you can have 2 or 3 hero dice and get to the end of the game and still just can't do it and lose, which is disappointing. It's deflating. It can be really exciting for the person who was doing poorly and somehow pulls out the victory, although I tend to be in the camp where if that happens, I'm still not pleased as the victor because I know that I didn't deserve it, or I view myself that way. So that's just, again, these are the things that I don't like. The other thing for me is the pacing of the game. It can be a game that you could collectively basically say, well, I really want to see more of these scoundrels before we get to the villains, and you kind of deliberately go that way. Or you could be like, all right, well, I'm going to just do a blue heroic feat. All right, next round, oh, there's another one. I'm going to do another blue heroic feat. All right, let's go ahead and get that, get that equipment, premium equipment from the scoundrel. Oh, and then third turn, all right, I'm going to go for a third blue, and now let's bring on that villain. And you've played 3 rounds of the game. You've gotten 2 regular equipment and premium equipment, and then you're at the end of the game. It could take 3 turns. It could take 6 or 7. It is a quick game, which is a plus, but the kind of I don't know whether it should just be like you play a certain number of rounds guaranteed, and you have the ability to get to earn more of those hero dice along the way, but then you really screw up people who might not be able to get the die rolls. They might just sit there 7 turns, 8 turns of the game, still just trying to get through that first heroic feat, while the other players have 3 hero dice, and then the end game comes around, and yes, you still have a chance, but the dice have hated you so much so far, and your opponents have so many ways to mitigate that the dice have to suddenly absolutely love you. And I don't know, I'm not quite sure what would fix it, but that's the pacing is hit and miss for me. Things that I think people in general are going to like is the fact that it's quick. It is a quick game. You can play, and then you can be like, all right, well, let's play again. It can go very quickly. I think there is a sense of progression. I wish that there was more of a sense of progression, but there is a sense of progression as you getting these different equipment, which gives you more abilities to manipulate the dice, which is a hallmark of any decent dice game to me, is it has to have copious amounts of luck mitigation. This doesn't necessarily have copious amounts until you get into the premium equipment, but it does have a decent amount. Capping it at 3, I'm not quite sure. I think that might be there primarily to prevent a runaway, because then someone might just stack them up while the other person's still stuck spinning their wheels at the start line. That could be part of it. That could also be why the game could end up being very short and is never necessarily going to draw on very long. But I think people will enjoy the fact that it's a dice game that goes quickly. It is light. It is Yahtzee-esque, and it's just a little bit above that. So I think it's probably going to be relatively affordable, judging by this. So I think that people who are looking for a nice, light, different theme and quick dice game, it's enjoyable. I think that people will enjoy that. I think that there are going to be a decent number of people who are going to appreciate the premium equipment and want to find a way to get more of them, who are going to want to try and make it a little bit more of a strategic enterprise where you're trying to get, like maybe make it so everyone starts with a regular equipment. That kind of helps people get out the gate. then maybe have two scoundrels and then the villain, and have more variety there. Have the ability to get more equipment. So to me, more ways to mitigate the luck, and finding a way to balance it so that you can maybe possibly have to choose between getting more of those hero dice and more equipment, or pushing to the end of the game faster, and maybe finding a way to reward someone who pushes to the end game faster, while artificially forcing the game to be longer by having more scoundrels or something like that. Find a way to reward that person differently than the people who are building up, so that you have kind of that two different paths to victory. Because right now, it's one path and it's dependent on luck very much. But if you had a way to possibly make it so, okay, this person could sit there and try and build up all the extra dice and all the extra equipment, but this person, maybe if you're the person who enacts the end game, if you've got fewer than three or fewer equipment, you can use each one twice, or whatever. I don't know. I guess it doesn't necessarily work because they're all able to be used multiple times. But something along those lines, I think, would be really interesting. Something to reward somebody who happened to push the tempo of the game versus someone who chose to build up all the different luck mitigating factors. So I think that would be interesting. Overall, though, I think it's a decent game, and I think that it's a game for me that if someone said, let's play it, I'd be like, okay. I don't know if it would have longevity. How many things get unlocked as far as stretch goals would depend, kind of influence that. But I would enjoy playing it on occasion with no concerns. So there you go. Let's go ahead and take the spotlight off of Zorro the Dice Game. And if you want to know more about Zorro the Dice Game, take a look in the description section where you can find a link to my unboxing, as well as a setup and more in-depth gameplay sample. And you can also find a link there to macronovagames.com where you can buy hundreds of great games. Until next time, I want to thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like what you see, and let me know in the comments section below if you have any feedback, questions, corrections, or any of those types of things. I'd love to connect with you. And, as always, have a wonderful day.